This excerpt is all about William Henry Harrison, the ninth president of the United States, and, fun fact, the shortest serving president. You know, when you read those, presidential rankings surveys, most of the time, William Harrison doesn't even get a mention in there. To be fair, the guy was in office about a month. The long story short, he had the either the first or the second longest inaugural address on record, and it was something more than 2 hours. It was out in the rain in Washington D.C. Kind of a late winter. It was cold, raining, a mess. He caught pneumonia and unfortunately died 31 days later. So these two kind of weekend chapters, kind of casual weekend here about William Henry Harrison and John Tyler, are all going to be about this kind of really tumultuous couple of months. But I want to back up a little bit for William Harrison and talk about his campaign for president, because that's where, when you think about, well, what's the marketing angle? Where did modern political campaigns and slogans and that sort of thing start? It was all with him. We don't really think much about William Harrison now. Most people, if I asked the average person, was William Harrison a president or some dude I made up, most people would just tell me I made this dude up. But no, really a president for about a month. His campaign, though, about log cabin and hard cider, it was an insult thrown at him that he was kind of an old guy and he'd rather just sit in his log cabin and drink hard cider. Well, what he did, instead of trying to combat that, he owned it. His campaign literature featured pictures of log cabins. He threw boozy backcountry parties with hard cider. Just kind of thinking about how to handle an insult when it's thrown at you and how to turn that into a marketing, kind of a marketing coup, is a huge lesson. We still see it happening today again and again and again. I'm reminded of the Like a Girl campaign where, fight like a girl and, do math like a girl, and kind of that insult when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, that was an insult. But now, kind of taking ownership of that particular insult to really kind of throw it back in people's faces. It's a brilliant strategy, and it charts all the way back here. So, but most people don't remember much about log cabins or hard cider. I'd like to talk about a different politician, a more recent one that many of us may remember, when Ronald Reagan used that same strategy in 1984 against Walter Mondale from the great state of Minnesota. By the way, in 84, the only state he won was Minnesota. But Reagan kind of finished him off with this. And I'll read you kind of the passage, and many of you already know this and you already kind of remember this. But the whole deal was Reagan was 73 years old, and older than William Harrison, by the way, who was 68. But Reagan was 73. And age was a big issue. That, hey, was he too old? Was he kind of maybe a little senile? Was he ready for the rigors of being president, especially for a second term? The first term was one thing, but 4 more years? A little bit risky. Well, during the debate, Reagan took that insult and kind of answered the question kind of head on. And I'm going to read you exactly what he said. And again, many of you already know this and already have fun, but let's do that. I will not make age an issue in this campaign. I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience. Mic drop right there. Everyone in the room had a good laugh. What had been the biggest issue in the campaign to that point disappeared overnight. And I think that's the moment Mondale knew he had lost. So again, great read. This is one of the quickest chapters in the book, but maybe one of the most useful when we think about, being challenged in the marketplace from our competitors and how to take that insult and turn it around. Because if you can, every time that someone uses that insult against you, again, after you've taken ownership of it, they build your case. They make it stronger for you. So again, William Henry Harrison, great chapter. Great story in there about how the whole thing worked. Make sure July 4th, 2021, Marketer in Chief is at bookstores everywhere. You can pre-order the ebook now, though, from marketerinchief.com or on Amazon. Take care.